Hello everyone, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. I wish you a pleasant listening experience. Today, I want to tell you about a book by the renowned American investigative journalist Alec MacGillis, titled Fulfillment. This work, spanning over 400 pages and containing 300,000 words, is a comprehensive report written by MacGillis after a decade of investigation and tracking. His focus is on the global e-commerce giant, Amazon. While we have explored some works related to Amazon in previous readings, they mostly centered around the success philosophy of its founder, Bezos, and the company's path of development, technological and managerial innovations, and so on. However, Fulfillment takes a bold approach by presenting a critical perspective on Amazon, aiming not for admiration or praise but to expose its dark side. MacGillis argues that in the era of global internet dominance by high-tech giants like Google, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon, these companies have the capability to embed their technologies and products deeply into the daily lives and behaviors of users. This immense power allows them to reshape the socio-economic structure and alter global human consumption habits, a feat unparalleled by any previous enterprises. Given Amazon's colossal size, with a market value exceeding $1 trillion and its close connection to the daily lives and consumption habits of residents in the United States and globally, it serves as a unique lens to observe how technology giants have brought about significant changes in our society and lives. Despite Amazon's impressive financial performance, with a Q1 revenue of $127.3 billion in 2023, a 9% year-on-year increase and operating expenses growing only by 8.7%, a new low in the past decade, MacGillis contends that behind the facade of success lie disturbing issues. In essence, Amazon's success is built on the harsh oppression of its lower-tier employees, exploitation of its monopoly to manipulate U.S. policymaking departments, and disruption of local socio-economic structures, leading to imbalances in global regional development. Therefore, the book carries a striking subtitle, Winning and Losing in One-Click America. It suggests that our ability to buy a plethora of consumer goods on Amazon comes at the cost of many individuals being deprived of everything. Consequently, regulating the monopoly of internet giants like Amazon and ensuring they fulfill their social responsibilities is a crucial issue that warrants deep reflection. Next, I will interpret the main content of the book in two parts. In the first part, we will follow MacGillis's investigation into the harsh treatment and challenging daily work life of Amazon's lower-tier employees. Following that, we will explore the author's analysis of the continuous expansion of the American Amazon business empire and how it has harmed the rights of third-party merchants, disrupted the original socio-economic structures of the regions they enter, and consequently exacerbated regional development inequalities. In the book's introduction, MacGillis shares a somber and dark story. Hector Torres, once an admired technical engineer earning a salary of $170,000 per year, became unemployed during the Great Recession of 2007. He remained despondent and unemployed for over a decade. Ultimately, with dim prospects for re-employment and even his marriage in jeopardy, Hector found a job as a logistics sorter in Colorado. The pay seemed decent at $15.60 per hour, and it was the only job without age requirements. The company that offered Hector this job was none other than the global e-commerce giant, Amazon. Upon starting the job, Hector realized it was challenging. The company's general manager urged everyone to deliver products to customers at the fastest speed and the highest logistics cost-effectiveness. To achieve this goal, Hector had to work 4 overnight shifts per week, from early morning until the next dawn, performing tasks such as loading, unloading, and sorting. Throughout the night, he had to stand in front of a conveyor belt, moving hundreds of items per hour with the barcode facing up for smooth machine scanning. Some items weighed up to 25 kilograms or even more. According to the smart wristband he wore, within Amazon's massive warehouse, Hector covered nearly 20 kilometers in a single night. Soon, he found unbearable pain in every part of his body, from arms, elbows, and lower back to calves and the soles of his feet. To cope and continue working, Hector prepared extensively each day, applying pain relief ointment before starting, carrying painkillers in his pocket, wearing a back brace during work, and applying ice to his legs and soaking his feet in bath salts after finishing. Adding to the hardships, the overtime hours increased for Hector after the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Many offline retail businesses in the U.S. closed due to the pandemic, and people in quarantine increasingly relied on online shopping, further extending working hours, reducing rest time, and worsening Hector's injuries. His wife, Laura, began to regret allowing her husband to take on this job, realizing that behind Amazon's shiny high-tech facade, it was, in fact, a sweatshop. As we all know, the core competitiveness of Amazon's e-commerce lies in being customer-centric, providing more favorable prices, faster delivery speeds, and a more diverse selection. In order to maintain customer retention and enhance customer engagement, Amazon introduced the Prime membership system in 2005. For a payment of $79, members could enjoy unlimited free delivery within 48 hours throughout the year. At that time, Amazon had fewer than 10 warehouses across the United States. However, by 2017, the number of Amazon Prime members had reached nearly 100 million, and the number of warehouses had surged to over 100, despite still feeling insufficient as it had already captured about 40% of the e-commerce retail market share in the United States. With over 80 million paying members, Amazon's continuously growing revenue performance is a strong driving force. The combined market share of its 9 main competitors is still less than half of Amazon's. To enhance efficiency, these warehouses must serve multiple functions, including sorting, packaging, and shipping. Amazon's multifunctional warehousing centers are referred to as fulfillment centers, from which the title of the book, Fulfillment, is derived. By the end of 2019, Amazon had over 750,000 employees globally, with the majority working in fulfillment centers. The scale of Amazon's fulfillment centers is staggering. As author McGillis illustrates, the Browning Fulfillment Center in the U.S. city of Baltimore, for instance, has an area equivalent to 18 full-sized football fields, with 1,900 parking spaces reserved for employees. To maintain Amazon's proud delivery speed, hundreds or even thousands of workers, like Hector, work tirelessly in fulfillment centers, resembling busy worker bees in a hive. The work generally falls into 3 categories. First, the stocking clerk, who continuously places items that need to be shipped on shelves. Second, the picker, who navigates between shelves using a handheld scanner to read order information, placing items for shipment in yellow boxes according to the order, with a constantly shortening blue progress bar on the scanner reminding workers to complete tasks quickly within a limited time. The last category is the packer, responsible for continually removing items from yellow boxes, scanning them, placing them in Amazon-logoed shipping boxes, packing them, and placing the shipping boxes on an ever-moving conveyor belt for outbound transportation. Some might say, if you don't want to do this job, you don't have to. However, as McGillis points out, the logic behind Amazon's selection of cities for its management and technology departments is entirely different from that of fulfillment centers. The former chooses cities that are already prosperous with numerous research institutions and universities, while the latter only requires convenient transportation and low costs of land and labor resources. As a result, Amazon fulfillment centers often locate in economically depressed areas with poor employment prospects. In 2018, British investigative journalist James Bloodworth published a book titled, Hired, 6 Months Undercover in Low-Wage Britain. In the book, he documented his challenging experiences working undercover in an Amazon order fulfillment center. This fulfillment center, located in the deteriorated mining town of Rugeley in central England, had become impoverished due to the depletion of coal resources, causing many residents to lose their jobs, with some even unemployed for 20 years. When Amazon announced the establishment of a logistics warehouse here in 2001, locals were initially thrilled. However, they soon discovered that the job was nothing like what they had imagined. To begin with, Amazon stipulated that each warehouse worker had 6 points, and any violation would result in point deductions. When the points reached 0, termination would follow. The reasons for point deductions were numerous, including being late, even by just 1 minute, resulting in a deduction of 1 point plus a 15-minute wage deduction. Even taking sick leave would result in point deductions. Bloodworth recalled that on one occasion during his undercover work, he felt unwell and had to take a day off. When he returned to his post after a day, the manager coldly informed him that this sick leave would result in a deduction of 1 point. In reality, on the first day of Bloodworth's undercover work, the center's supervisor publicly told new employees, "If you're sick, deal with it yourself because we need you to work here." Despite this, Bloodworth discovered that the employee cafeteria shelves were stocked with many common medications, such as cold and cough medicine, for employees to use at any time. In the eyes of Amazon's management, this was considered impressive charity and welfare. For busy fulfillment center workers, even going to the bathroom is a luxury. In an interview, a worker named Bodani complained to McGillis, stating that he was already 69 years old but had to work for a living, and the Amazon fulfillment center, with no age limit, was his only choice. Due to his age, Bodani always wanted to go to the bathroom, but Amazon stipulates that workers only have 20 minutes of break time within 10 hours of work, despite the relevant legal provisions stating that workers should have at least 30 minutes of unpaid break time during a day's work, with an additional 15 minutes of paid break time in the morning and afternoon each. Amazon's order fulfillment centers are so vast that a mere 20 minutes is insufficient for employees to visit the restroom and return to their workstations on time. As a result, in the hidden corners of the shelves, one often finds bottles filled with urine left by employees who couldn't make it to the restroom in time. What's worse, workers in fulfillment centers discovered an intelligent monitoring system composed of numerous cameras and handheld scanning devices carried by workers. This system constantly surveils every step of the workers, checking for any signs of idleness or mistakes to quantitatively evaluate performance. It continuously innovates, shortening the completion time for each process, optimizing workflows, and, in essence, urging workers to speed up. Bloodworth describes the experience of working in a fulfillment center in his book as akin to being in prison. Your handheld device serves not only as a tool to complete your tasks but also as a personal electronic shackle. It issues constant commands, instructing you to retrieve specific items and then initiating a countdown. Sometimes, even if you haven't exceeded the time limit, you may receive prompt messages saying, you need to improve your picking efficiency. The system's criteria for reaching such conclusions remain unknown. Under the supervision of artificial intelligence, workers have no room for laziness. Bloodworth found that even if you just wanted to take a sip of water and left your workstation to find the water cooler, you might be identified as loitering by the system, equated with slacking off and negatively impacting your score. Although there are dozens of water coolers on each floor of the fulfillment center, it is still challenging for an exhausted and dizzy worker to quickly locate one in the 700,000 square meter maze of corridors. In Bloodworth's first week on the job, he was informed by a manager that he needed to improve his performance because, according to data statistics, he was in the bottom 10% of the warehouse workers' picking efficiency rankings. This left Bloodworth puzzled. At 33 years old, in good health and regularly exercising, he worked tirelessly every day during his undercover experience to gain a genuine understanding of the job. So, where was the problem? In reality, many workers are eventually dismissed from Amazon fulfillment centers, and the decisions are not even made by individual supervisors. From 2017 to 2018, in just the Baltimore fulfillment center in the United States, approximately 300 workers were dismissed. Some workers, discontented, contemplate filing appeals, but Amazon's lawyers respond by stating that these decisions are automatically generated by the Amazon monitoring system after evaluating work efficiency and have nothing to do with any individual supervisor. Therefore, in the eyes of many low-level laborers, working in an Amazon fulfillment center is merely a reluctant choice that neither improves their quality of life nor provides a sense of professional pride. In a secret survey of Amazon fulfillment center workers, 55% reported experiencing psychological depression after joining, and 70% stated that if they were dismissed, they would not consider rejoining Amazon. Now that we have discussed Amazon's harsh treatment of fulfillment center workers, let's explore why author McGillis asserts that Amazon's rise has led to inequality in economic development in the United States and disrupted the socio-economic ecology of the cities it settles in by exploiting affiliated businesses. McGillis emphasizes that, initially, Amazon's rise did bring prosperity to Seattle, where it is based. In the 1970s and 1980s, Seattle was a small city with a population of less than 500,000, economically dependent on the Boeing aircraft manufacturing giant, shipyards, and port transportation support. Economic recession at the time had severely impacted Seattle, described by the renowned economic media outlet The Economist as a large-scale pawnshop where families were selling various items in hopes of obtaining some cash for essential food and rent. However, during the downturn, several young entrepreneurs successively settled in Seattle for its favorable tax policies and abundance of high-caliber educational institutions, providing rich talent for innovation. Like the flutter of a butterfly's wings that eventually leads to a storm, their arrival brought transformative changes to Seattle. These individuals were Bill Gates and Paul Allen, founders of Microsoft, and Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. By 2018, Seattle had transformed from an obscure and remote city into the high-tech capital of the United States and the world. The average annual income of residents in the city reached $75,000, with housing prices ranking second nationally, only after the San Francisco Bay Area where Silicon Valley is located. Moreover, it became the fastest-growing major city in the United States, with the majority of new residents being young and employed by high-tech companies such as Amazon and Microsoft, referred to as the Double High Group due to their high educational qualifications and high incomes. According to statistics, Amazon alone provided 30% of the new job opportunities in the entire Seattle area and leased approximately 20% of the commercial office space in the downtown area. Due to frequent company travel, 2 airlines even set up special boarding lanes at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport for Amazon employees. Later on, Amazon established a brand new headquarters campus in the South Lake Union area of suburban Seattle. It consists of 3 interconnected round glass buildings called spheres, designed as a tropical rainforest, with over 40,000 rare plants from around the world. In Bezos's words, the extravagant design and comfortable space were intentional because Amazon didn't want its employees to view this place merely as an office for routine work but rather as an open community fostering unexpected encounters between employees, generating more inspiration and creativity. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? However, McGillis quickly changes his tone, stating that the wave of development in high-tech companies has benefited only a limited number of people and regions, exhibiting a rich get richer, poor get poorer Matthew effect. In 2019, 3 states, California, New York, and Massachusetts, absorbed over 70% of the venture capital in the United States. A handful of urban areas gathered unprecedented wealth throughout human history, while many cities and regions could only watch as employment opportunities disappeared and their economies plunged into recession. McGillis cites a report from the McKinsey Institute, pointing out that, by 2030, 60% of the employment growth in the United States will flow to 25 high-tech industry-intensive cities, including Seattle. Meanwhile, the 54 poorest backward cities and rural areas in the United States, home to approximately 1/4 of the country's population, face awkward zero growth. What's even worse is that high-tech giants like Amazon, with their enormous wealth and social influence, can use these assets as leverage to directly influence the formulation of national policies in the United States. McGillis states that as Amazon's performance continues to soar, Jeff Bezos has increased his visits to the capital, Washington, D.C. From 2012 to 2017, Amazon's government lobbying spending in Washington increased 5-fold. It maintained a 28-member expert lobbying team in Washington, including 4 former members of Congress. To maintain favorable media coverage, Bezos even purchased the renowned newspaper, The Washington Post, and acquired a mansion in the most expensive area of Washington to host salons and other social events. For many cities in the United States, and even countries and regions globally, facing the trend of continuous economic downturn and the shift of manufacturing industries to emerging economies, having Amazon set up management branches or logistics centers is undoubtedly an excellent opportunity to boost local employment rates, stimulate economic growth, and consumption. However, McGillis reveals in his book that by recognizing this, Amazon gains an unparalleled advantage in negotiations with local governments, allowing it to propose various favorable conditions for its entry. For example, Amazon has been preparing to build a second headquarters within the United States. According to evaluations, this second headquarters could bring at least 25,000 job opportunities to the local city and generate economic benefits calculated in the tens of billions of dollars. Therefore, over 50 cities applied for consideration, resulting in fierce competition. Their performances resembled participants in a reality dating show. Aside from competing to implement various investment facilitation and tax reduction policies, they also devised unconventional tactics. For instance, the mayor of Kansas City personally gave over 1,000 Amazon products 5-star reviews, while Dallas proposed exempting all local Amazon employees from pet adoption fees. Atlanta declared its city subway could add a dedicated Amazon car, and a small town in the suburbs of Atlanta even declared that if Amazon settled there, they would rename the town Amazon City. In the end, Amazon chose Arlington, Virginia. McGillis tells a story in his book about an apartment that had been on the second-hand housing platform for 3 months with no takers. However, when news broke in November 2018 that Amazon's second headquarters would be established in the area, the apartment immediately announced a sale, with a price $70,000 higher than the original listing. Although the construction of this second headquarters was temporarily suspended due to global economic downturn and declining profits, the allure of Amazon's presence remains evident. It's worth noting that before this, Amazon considered building the second headquarters in the bustling metropolis of New York City. However, why did it ultimately not materialize? It turns out that Amazon made a hefty request, stating that after its entry into New York, it could generate $27.5 billion in tax revenue for the city over 25 years. Consequently, it demanded a $3 billion gift from the New York City government, including $2.1 billion in tax breaks and $500 million reimbursement for new headquarters construction costs. Some legislators opposed this, arguing that the money could be better spent on improving public infrastructure and welfare. This ultimately led to the breakdown of negotiations. Therefore, McGillis concludes that Amazon's stringent entry conditions essentially passed the bill to the local residents of the settling area. How does this work? For many impoverished areas, the economic boost brought about by Amazon's entry takes a long time to materialize. In the short term, it adds to the tax burden of local residents. As mentioned earlier, before settling in, the powerful Amazon forced local governments to provide a series of tax incentives and subsidy conditions. Therefore, for a long time, the money Amazon earned rarely flowed back to the settling area. As the saying goes, the rich get richer while the poor get poorer. For example, McGillis gives an example in his book. Amazon established 2 fulfillment centers in the state of Ohio, leading to the local medical emergency and fire departments having to deal with more urgent situations. However, according to the settlement agreement, the 2 fulfillment centers were exempted from property taxes for a staggering 15 years. To make up for this loss, the local government decided that residents in the area where the fire department was located had to pay an additional property tax to ensure the normal operation of the fire department. Certainly, those bullied by the towering Amazon are not only local governments and ordinary citizens in the United States but also the businesses that have entered due to Amazon's dominant position in the e-commerce sector. In his book, McGillis tells a poignant story about a couple, Teresa and Carlos, who, after years of struggle, finally established an office furniture company called Pencil Holder. Due to excellent product quality and after-sales service, they became the main suppliers of office furniture for local governments and schools. Their good days continued until 2017, when Amazon called and invited them to join the Amazon online marketplace. Initially, small business owners or entrepreneurs like Teresa and Carlos were happy to ride the wave of Amazon's traffic, witnessing growth in orders and sales. According to Amazon's official statistics, in 2017, there were 140,000 small and medium-sized enterprises on the Amazon platform with annual sales exceeding $100,000. However, gradually, things went awry. Firstly, Amazon wanted to take a significant commission from their sales, approximately 15% of the transaction amount. Various and numerous charges also emerged, such as fulfillment fees, account management fees, website advertising fees, and so on. If merchants want to thrive, they have to pay all of them, meaning 30% of each transaction price goes to Amazon. Secondly, many merchants found that there were many knockoff products similar to their own on the Amazon platform. Not only were these knockoffs considerably cheaper, but Amazon also recommended them in prominent positions. Clearly, they faced the difficult choice of either not lowering prices and waiting for customers to slowly drift away or choosing to lower prices, thereby reducing already scarce profits even further. What caused this situation? Some unwilling and meticulous merchants, after investigating, found that these knockoffs were produced by Amazon itself. Because Amazon's platform has access to all user sales and browsing data, it adopted a strategy, selecting popular products and then producing knockoffs on its own production line, ranging from scented candles, batteries, baby products, furniture to nutritional supplements. Due to Amazon's substantial order volume, the cost of these knockoffs can be kept extremely low. Subsequently, through its system, Amazon can give these knockoffs more recommendations, exposure, and competitive prices, quietly turning users who originally bought genuine products into consumers of its own products. Moreover, to deeply captivate both consumers and entering merchants, Amazon came up with more tricks. For example, in 2015, Amazon established a new institution called Amazon Business, with the core mission of using Amazon's advantages to secure more U.S. government procurement tasks. Its first leader was An Rung, who had previously served as the Federal Procurement Policy Chief for the U.S. government. And Rung, leveraging her familiarity with government procurement operations, quickly helped Amazon secure more and more U.S. government procurement projects. Through her influence, more local government agencies regarded Amazon Business as the sole procurement platform. In simple terms, small businesses like Teresa and Carlos, even if they want to do business with old customers, such as local governments and schools, must go through Amazon. Through these means, Amazon earned substantial profits from third-party merchants. According to data obtained by McGillis, in 2018, Amazon's profits from third-party sales reached a staggering $42.7 billion, accounting for 20% of the company's total profits. However, this prominent performance was built on the foundation of squeezing millions of small merchants like Teresa and Carlos. Additionally, Amazon's presence and continued expansion constitute a kind of downward pressure on traditional offline retail businesses, causing more and more brick-and-mortar retail enterprises to declare bankruptcy and exacerbating the employment crisis. McGillis states in his book that in 2017 alone, over 7,000 retail stores closed in the United States. While this can be attributed to economic downturns, the COVID-19 pandemic, and poor management, the fundamental reason is the online shopping model represented by Amazon, which mercilessly draws more and more consumers to its side. As is well known, the closure of each physical store leads to a large number of employees losing their jobs, and even high-tech multinational companies like Amazon cannot provide enough employment opportunities to make up for it. Business professor Gallo, through his research, comes to the conclusion that approximately 76,000 retail industry workers lose their jobs every year due to Amazon's expansion. Alright, here we have covered the main content of fulfillment. Author McGillis, through a decade of in-depth interviews and research analysis, narrates the stories of ordinary people in the United States whose lives have been eroded by the rapid expansion of the Amazon business empire. Through these heartbreaking stories, McGillis exposes the harsh reality of American society. Globalized tech giants like Amazon, despite technological and service innovations, are binding more and more consumers to their product ecosystems. On the other hand, by modifying the rules of the game, they continuously solidify their monopoly status. Ideally, the scenario where technological progress creates more wealth, benefiting the entire society, has not occurred. Instead, the birth and growth of Amazon have exacerbated existing imbalances in development, causing severe disruption to the existing social structure and economic forms. You may recall The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, another similar work discussed by Tim Booker. In that book, veteran American journalist George Packer, by describing the unfortunate destinies of three ordinary people, accused the intensification of monopolies from the 1970s to the early 21st century and the collaboration between capital and government in the United States. In The Fulfillment, a similar story seems to be unfolding, except that the source of wrongdoing has evolved from monopolistic offline retail giants like Walmart to internet tech giants like Amazon. Once again, ordinary workers at the bottom of American society become the victims of harm and sacrifice. Given this, George Packer highly praises Fulfillment, stating that it vividly depicts the destructive panorama brought by Amazon and gives a human voice to the grand narrative of economic and social inequality in the United States. In the final chapter, Epilogue, Labor Day, McGillis presents a worrisome picture to readers. In May 2020, amid the peak of the global COVID-19 pandemic, Amazon stock was soaring, and Jeff Bezos' net worth increased by $24 billion in just 2 months. To handle the surge in orders, Amazon hired an additional 425,000 employees worldwide. However, on the flip side, many small cities in the United States with populations below 500,000 found it even more challenging to sustain themselves. The economy declined, and by the end of the year, 1/4 of the low-wage positions in the United States, paying less than $16 per hour, were cut. In this situation, many Americans who appeared in the book did not experience a turnaround in their lives. Hector, who worked at the original fulfillment center, persisted in his job, but he found that after the pandemic, some new colleagues around him, with similar backgrounds, were former engineers, lawyers, or even private business owners. The ongoing economic recession and the pandemic destroyed their previous lives, forcing them to work as low-wage workers at Amazon. In Dayton, Ohio, McGillis interviewed Todd, a cardboard factory worker, who lost his job. Due to the economic decline in Dayton, Todd had been intermittently doing odd jobs until the factory producing packaging boxes for Amazon set up shop in Dayton. After some twists and turns, Todd finally found a new job doing logistics in a warehouse near the Amazon distribution center, with a wage still at $13 per hour, just like the cardboard factory. In reality, for many Amazon workers, life is cyclical, monotonous, and seemingly without hope. In response to this phenomenon, an artificial intelligence expert and venture capitalist named Misyevich wrote an article in Forbes magazine in 2020 during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, urging high-tech giants like Amazon to take on more social responsibility during global socio-economic turmoil. He argued that since the greatest strength of American high-tech companies lies in using technology and innovative business models to solve various complex problems, they should not only focus on improving the user experience of their products but should also turn their attention to larger and more complex issues of social injustice and adversity. This is because their immense wealth, massive data, and influence give them the ability and responsibility to effect change in these areas. Above is the essence of this book. Congratulations on completing another book. Thank you all for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with friends around you. Let's combine wisdom with practicality to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, goodbye.